What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to another episode of Comic Breakdowns. Today, we are looking at X-Men 97 number 1. It is a prequel comic to the X-Men 97 series, which is currently out on Disney+. And if you haven't watched it, I don't know where you are. It has been one of the best rebooted cartoons in quite a while. So let's go ahead and get into it. Our story kicks off with Magneto threatening to rule over all humans as he is Homo superior mutant versus Homo sapiens, and then he's hit from the back, and it's Cyclops basically telling him, you're not going to rule anything. We get our first big shot of the X-Men ready to take Magneto on. Wolverine jumps in, but of course, with him controlling metal, that means nothing to Magneto, and Storm has to even kind of like catch him as he falls because he's jumping in too headstrong. Storm tells Wolverine to just follow the plan. Cyclops says, yes, stick to it. But Magneto does something impossible. He pulls the grates from under the ground and gives Cyclops an uppercut, and he is grounded. In the third panel, we see Jean Grey behind the screen, and we realize that this is actually a danger room exercise. Wolverine is kind of yelping at Cyclops about letting him do his thing, and Cyclops is going back and forth about following orders, and Storm has to end up breaking it up. Beast then alerts the crew that they have something that desires their attention. And it looks like Dazzler is being kidnapped by the Friends of Humanity. For those of you who remember, this was the same thing that happened in the episode in the Fox cartoon show of X-Men. Jubilee makes a silly joke about not being able to fly the plane, but Jean says her stomach isn't well and she needs to sit this one out, and Cyclops agrees. But also Beast decides to sit it out because he's working on Bishop's time-traveling device. At this point, Beast radios into some other operatives who can help them out. And Cyclops wants to go in stealthy, but Jubilee said maybe he's a little too late. Then we see Rogue busting through the wall with some of the bad guys and Gambit in tow. So they have joined the battle now. Now Storm takes the helm and disperses the X-Men out to deal with the Friends of Humanity. Jubilee and Bishop fire off their powers, and Rogue comes in with the strength while Wolverine gets the assist and kind of takes out the weapons. Luckily, he's not slashing them. Now we see Cyclops and Gambit getting into it with the Friends of Humanity, but this is the part I'm most excited about. Jubilee makes a run for one guy, flips over him, uses her powers with the fireworks to kind of shock him, and then kick the guy in the back, say she's been learning some moves from Logan. This was a great scene because we finally get to see Jubilee using some combat skills instead of just using the pyrokinetics all the time. So Dazzler is freed, and Jubilee is kind of fangirling out of seeing Dazzler for real in person because she really wants to go to this concert. And then Psyche is talking to her, and she's like, I remember you back in the day, but you never came back to that bar to talk to me, hinting that they had a little connection there, but it just never panned out. We then cut to someone saying that they would take over things from here, and they're all kind of like, who are you? And we see Valerie Cooper, who is an agent working with the government, who actually wants to build relationships between mutants and the government itself. She usually appeared in the books of X Factor, and she wants to be like the liaison to help them out and send them on missions so they can have a positive image of mutants in the real world. The X-Men arrive back at their Westchester mansion, where Storm and Psyche are kind of debating, this may be a big help for us to build the relationships between humans and mutants and the government all in one. So Jean then asks Scott to talk to him. He's like, oh, is it about Dazzler? Because, I didn't really mess around with her. That was just a little quick thing. And she's like, no, we can talk about something else. And so he's like, I really wanted to brief the team. If it's not an emergency, can we kind of just wait a little bit? And she's like, sure, Scott, I'll just talk to you about it later. So Jean just kind of blows it off. She's like, yeah, Scott, we'll talk later. For someone with a whole lot of vision, you can't even see what's really going on. And then we get the big reveal, guys. Here it is, that Jean Grey is actually pregnant, and she wanted to tell Scott, but he just wasn't in the right mind to receive that right now. And for those of you that watch the show and know the history in the comics, this is not actually Jean. This is Madeline Pryor, the clone of Jean Grey, who was actually pregnant with his child, not Jean. So this was a huge revelation back in the day. I love how the last panel ended with Jean's revelation of the pregnancy and Jubilee saying, oh wow, right? That lined up really well. But it's her having a conversation now with Storm, and she's got into her punk rock phase, and she's like, well, the millennium is coming, it's time for a change, and that's kind of what Dazzler is all about. So let me go ahead and rock the form. So the team takes off to head to Dazzler's concert, while Storm stays back and has a heart-to-heart with Jean. Jean is kind of saying, Scott is always on the run, rushing on the mission. I wish he would think more about our relationship. And Storm reassures Jean, saying that he is concerned about the future. He's trying to make sure that you all have the life you need to, and that mutants can run around free. And she's just like, talk to him. I'm sure he'll understand. Let him know that what the most important thing is what you all have right now. We now come to the concert where Jubilee is really just enjoying this, and Bishop is like, I wish I can go home dressed in his civvies. He doesn't really want to be there. Dazzler's getting ready to throw on this amazing performance, and everyone's there to support. And then in the corner, we see Ruckus. I love the Nasty Boys. They always struck me as this ragtag, odd group of mutants who just kind of had this weird makeup. So Dazzler is hit by Ruckus's blast, but obviously this is not going to be too effective. As you know, Dazzler has the power to turn sound into like energy blast and burst, and she can shoot it from her fingers, so it's not going to work really well. Alright, we see Rogue saying, the Nasty Boys are here, let's go ahead and get them. This is crazy, they shouldn't even be here. And Dazzler's like, I didn't expect things to get nasty like this is stupid. Jubilee and Bishop are like, okay, I guess we're on, time to go ahead and do our thing. Let's get the fight started. Gambit takes on Slag and Hairball, and he kind of dispenses with them really easily using his kinetic charge cards and with some swift kicks and his bow staff. Pretty easy to knock him out, not a problem at all. Dazzler is like, you made a big mistake by shooting me, a person that can use sound, and she totally blasts a hole through Gorgeous George, and it hits Vertigo. I've always loved the character Gorgeous George because his namesake alone, like why did he even choose something so silly like that? But it just works for him. Alright. We now return home with the X-Men back from their mission with the Dazzler concert, and Jean is confronting Scott, kind of like talking to him and letting him know, like, I know you care about the team and the mission, but I just want to let you know something, and I'll promise not to read your mind. I want your honest reaction. And she lets him know that she's pregnant, and we see Wolverine sulking in the corner. There's always been this weird relationship between Scott, Jean, and Wolverine, and if you look back to Wolverine's origins, he grew up with this girl named Rose who had red hair, and Jean reminds him of that person even though he can't remember who she was due to all the different interfering with his memory loss when he was Weapon X. The Nasty Boys return back from their mission, and they're blaming each other for their faults for not being successful in capturing Dazzler, and they turn to Mr. Sinister. He's like, you know what, I'm kind of tired of all this. You're outdated and I need some updated people for updated tactics. And Mr. Sinister turns and is like, I have a new plan, and it's not what you think it's going to be. Mr. Sinister says he's going to enlist some new help, and as the screen slowly shows, you see Sabretooth leading the front. I think you see Scalpel, and I forgot the guy who can turn like into a tornado. Usually he has like shurikens or ninja stars he throws with them. These are the Marauders, and for those of you who don't know, it looks like we're getting ready to get the Mutant Massacre, and that's when they destroyed a bunch of people sent by Sinister to kill a bunch of mutants in the Morlocks in the Morlock tunnels. So those last two shots, I'm not sure who those two mutants are, but I'm very curious. So if you enjoyed this book, I think you should pick it up. It is a prequel to X-Men 97. It only goes for 4 issues. I originally was not going to get it, but I think I'm going to sign on because I'm curious as to what happens next. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. Drop a comment below to tell me if I gave an accurate description of this X-Men 97 prequel book, and tell me what you thought about it. Just drop your comments below. Also, if you really enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to know when new content drops just like this. And until next time, peace.
Host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow. I'm your host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow. I'm your host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow.
If you don't have it, you are truly missing out.
What's up? I'm your host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow. I'm your host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow. I'm your host Joseph, Fiction Inc. Flow.
If you don't have it, you are truly missing out.
What's up? We are talking about Fiction Inc. Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
out.
Inc. Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Inc. Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
out.
Inc. Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Inc. Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
out.
Inc. Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Inc. Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
out.
Inc. Flow.